Hello, hello! If you're watching this when it goes up, Happy New Year! For the occasion, I am wearing my sparkly jumper, which is a lot more sparkly than I am feeling. I am starting the new year tired, which ties in nicely with today's topic, but I'll get to that in a second. First of all, hello if you're new here too. My name is Kim. How you doing? This is the Coffee and Craft podcast, and I rock up every week and I drink coffee, unsurprisingly, and I talk about all things to do with running a handmade business. And this week we are going to be talking about plans for growth in 2024 with everything that is going on. And there's so many things going on. I would like, if I could have one wish for 2024, it would be peace in every sense of the word. It's a lot. It's a lot. A couple of years ago, I made a video where, before all of this really kicked off, people in the news, economists, they were warning about this. It was like the storm was on the horizon. And I made a video where I was talking about this being on the horizon and how we were going to have to prepare for it and hold on tight. Well, we are well and truly in the holding on tight stage. And holding on tight is easy enough when you've got to do it for small periods of time. But when that time is lengthened, it gets harder to hold on tight. So I'm like fingertips now. Like, not necessarily with finance. I realise it sounds very dramatic. Just energy. I'm hanging in there. My business is hanging in there. But energy-wise, guys, I'm tired. I'm hanging in there, I guess. But I'm hanging in there like this cup is. So some of you who've been following me for a few weeks at least will recognise this cup. This is my winter cup. I buy myself a cup for every season because I'm that person. This is my winter cup, as I've said before. And over the holiday week, I smashed it into a radiator, which it didn't like, as you can imagine. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Yeah, you can see it. It's not a happy bunny. Where are you? Yeah, there's another one there and there. Fixed it. No, this could go badly wrong. Let's have a look. Oh, my beautiful mug lives to fight another day. I'm hanging in there like this mug, but we're fragile now. We are tired. And I'm just going into the new year, and then when someone says, how are you planning to grow your business in the new year? My reaction is, oh, do I have to? No, don't make me. And I think that is what made me want to make this video. This whole, like, I am not feeling the sort of girl boss vibes. I don't want to girl boss it. I want to girl sleep it. So when I sat down to plan this video, I was thinking about how I could make a plan for growth going forward. But I thought I would look at it in terms of, well, three different lenses, essentially. My time, my energy, and then, of course, money. Because I think, yes, you have to follow the money, and I talk about this a lot, but that tends to get all of the attention when running a business. And I think we need to, yes, absolutely focus on that, because you can't run a business and not. But we also need to be thinking of things like when we talk about our return on investment, we always think about money. But I think we need to think about it in terms of our time and our energy too, because that's finite and so freaking precious. So that's what we're going to talk about today. That's got to be the longest intro I've ever made. Good God. I digress, and I'll come back to that in a second. Right, so I wanted to talk very briefly about an article that I read, and I didn't bookmark it, which is what I usually do when I find an article that I want to talk about in the podcast. So I can't source it, but if I find it later on, I will pop it in the description. And if there's nothing there, then I'm sorry, I couldn't find it. But it was an article where they were asking for the predictions from different economists, not just from here in the UK, but the US and just different economists, to see if their predictions for 2024 sort of matched at all. And they were more or less online with what each other thought. UK sellers, strap yourself in. It was a bit more gloomy for us than other people. The US, I remember they said that they thought that they could see growth coming back in 2024. So good for you. For us, another year of struggle, at least. I don't know if they used the words at least, but I remembered the one more year of struggle and I was like, no! It should be said, these are predictions. They could be wrong. And also, they are predictions made on the assumption, and this is quite an assumption, that things don't get worse between when the prediction is made and the whole of 2024. There has been so much going on in just a year. Who knows what 2024 has in store? I dread to think. But if it is any more huge global stuff, it's going to have an impact. But if we just play with that and just for giggles, let's just pretend that their predictions turn out to be accurate. Here in the UK, we have one more year of holding on tight. Now, have I already said this? I don't know, but if I'm repeating myself, I apologise. Did I mention I was tired? Holding on tight is fine for a short period of time, but for a long period of time, it just gets harder. So the idea of having to hold on tight for another year, and that's kind of what's surprising me, because I had worried about my business not being able to make it through these tough times because of a lack of money, the money element, not sort of hitting goals and stuff. Not so. I'm actually doing okay. Don't get me wrong, I'm having to sort of paddle harder to just stay afloat, but I'm staying afloat. And I've seen numerous businesses not be able to do that. So I consider myself very fortunate, very lucky, and I'm proud of that. But again, time, energy, that's close to being on the floor. And you cannot run a business if you have no energy. And there are so many unique challenges that handmade businesses in particular have to face now. Just proving that they are handmade, trying to be seen amongst all of the cheap knockoff stuff. It's exhausting. It's exhausting, which is why I think going into 2024, any goals you set yourself, be it for your business or personal or anything, if you're not factoring in your time and your energy, they are just going to turn into a little cloud of dust like the characters from Endgame. Spoiler alert. This might make more sense if I just talk to you first about how I'm going to apply this to my business, and then we'll talk about how you can do so for yours. So first of all, time. How am I planning to make the most of my time in my business going forward? Well, I've sat down and I've looked at where I'm spending most of my time. I've made some changes last year that have already helped with this. For example, YouTube. My time was being spent hugely on editing videos that were sucking my energy, and as a result weren't bringing me in enough to warrant the amount of energy and time that I was spending on it. So I pivoted towards podcast episodes, which just lit me up. I love them. Thankfully, you seem to love them. You're weirdos. So I've already lent into that, and that has helped both my time and my energy insanely. It's been a small tweak that has just improved everything. It's improved my time, it's improved my energy, it's improved my income from the YouTube channel. So this is what I mean. This is what I'm going to be focusing on. Small tweaks that will have a knock-on effect on everything. And yes, I have notes down here. So if you see me looking down, it's because I've lost my train of thought and I need to find it somewhere here. Oh yes, I put time, remove friction. Editing those smaller videos was definitely friction. So I removed that, but that's last year. I want to lean more into that going forward. And that's another reason why I've brought in this course, because I think it's one of those jobs that, like building my website earlier last year, it was a huge amount of work to begin with. But once it's done, providing that you've built the foundations well, it takes up less time to maintain and improve, and that's what I'm going into hopefully in 2024. I will be able to improve it, maintain it, and keep it going. If it doesn't, if it turns out to be the opposite and it actually becomes more of a drain on energy and time, and it doesn't give me enough of money, for example, to make up for that, then it will be dropped. And that goes for everything else in my business as well. This YouTube channel, the shop, everything. I'm definitely trying to embrace the letting go of things that don't work, as well as leaning into the things that do. Just really focusing in hard on what does. And as you're going to hear me say it a lot in this video, time, energy and money, those three things, it has to give me something, at least one of those things, for it to stay a plate that I will keep spinning. So I've mentioned time and energy. These are things that I'm going to be looking into to help bring in more money without draining my time, without draining my energy. So the course and obviously this podcast. Those are going to be two areas of my business. And the other area of my business, obviously, is the finished physical handmade products. And I want to play a little bit here. I'm going to lean more into DIY and supplies style items in my Etsy shop. So they're going to be small ticket offerings, I think, because that seems to do better on Etsy. Plus it will do better for my time and energy. And then obviously I'll be putting more energy and more time into the finished handmade products which are on my website. So it's leaning more into what I've already been doing, I think. But I want there to be an element of play as well. Now, usually my element of play and creativity comes from the handmade finished things, but I have got another little project that I want to work on or just bring in just to test. But again, I will drop it like a hot potato if it doesn't fill me up in terms of time, energy and money. And that is, I hate the word, I'm going to have to say it, merch. It's such a Mr. Beastie YouTuber-ish thing to say, and it's what. But yes, I thought for this podcast, now that I know that I'm keeping this podcast, it would be fun to bring in something like a coffee cup. Because that just makes so much sense to me. What I would put on it though, I have no idea. I've been thinking about this and I thought about something like I digress, which is why I said that earlier. Hey. But I don't know, I'm not sure. And then the lovely Gillian, hi Gillian, mentioned, oh actually no, you did a typo in a comment in the last video where you were talking about the podcast, specifically my cat Luna, who just completely stole the show, FYI. And instead of writing podcast, you wrote podcat. And I just thought, oh, Luna can be my podcat. It's brilliant. But again, I don't know how that works. So probably I won't base my merch around the cat. Yes, he's very cute, guys, but he is a menace. There's a reason why the door is shut. So yeah, not really sure what to put on the coffee cups if I do them. As I say, this is kind of like, it's an extra project for me to work on, to just sort of, I just think it would be quite fun, but it's also low priority. So we'll see how we go. But putting it out there to see, one, if anybody would be interested, because let's be honest, if nobody would, what's the point? Not worth my time and energy, you see? And also, if you would be interested, what would I put on it? Apart from I digress, I can't really think of anything. Maybe just a cup saying I'm tired, that would be bang on brand for me, wouldn't it? Right, okay, let's move on. And then obviously money, which to be honest, I've kind of already covered, because the thing about focusing on your time and your energy is that revenue, money, it kind of follows naturally. If we are streamlining our businesses so that we're leaning into the things that work, dropping the things that don't work, and we are being mindful with our energy as well, it's hard for the money not to follow. Okay, so this is where I ask you, I put it over to you. How are you planning for growth in 2024? And does the idea of looking at it through the lenses of your time and your energy and yes, your money, does that help you in any way? I would suggest asking yourself questions like, where are you spending most of your time? How much are you making for that time? And also focus on the things that you do that leave you the most drained. What lights you up? What makes you feel drained? Now, obviously, there are going to be some tasks in your business that drain you and you're just not going to be able to do anything about it. Taxes. The end of every month, I have to do my bookkeeping and all of the rest of it, and that's draining. Nevertheless, it's necessary, she says, having not done the last few months. I need to catch up. And then obviously in April, I'll have to do my taxes for the year. That's draining. I don't like it. Unfortunately, that's necessary. That being said, there are certain things that are draining that I don't need to do. Take this podcast as an example again. Pivoting from the smaller, shorter, snappier videos to these longer podcast episodes was me doing that. It was a small tweak. I was already here on YouTube, already making the videos. It was just a small tweak in the video format, and it has made the biggest difference. So yes, think about all of your goals that you set yourself, be it business or personal or whatever. Think about your time and your energy as, if not more important than the money that you're making, because it's all linked. I think that's been my biggest takeaway from 2023, actually. So I'll be leaning hard into that. And as woo as it sounds to protect your energy, you best believe I'm going to be doing that. A little story time just to use as an example as to how I've been protecting my time and my energy. Just before Christmas, I was contacted by a company asking whether or not I would like to do a collaboration, a sponsorship. They were going to gift me something, a product, and in return for me doing a review. Now, usually I just say no. I don't want to do sponsored content on this channel. But this one stopped me short because, one, it's an actual company, like a real company, like a company we all know. That kind of a company, not just some rando with an app who wants us to, do the thing. It's also a product that was on my wish list. The timing seemed perfect, and I just thought, should I do it? Should I not? I don't know. I don't want to do sponsored content, but at the same time, I trust this company and I rate this product. I want it. So if I'm willing to spend my own money on it, it could be a good fit. So I thought, well, you know what? It can't hurt to find out more. So I contacted them and said, yes, I'd be interested. Tell me more. And they did. And I thought, oh, no. I'm not going to say who the company was or what the product was, but all I will say is what they wanted. The amount of my time and energy that would have gone into making this work that a lot of it I wouldn't have even owned at the end of it, in return for a product, the cost of which was not worth the time and effort involved, by a long shot. And it just goes to show how some companies value people's time. I was polite about it, but I told them no. Now, the reason why I'm telling you that story is simply because something can look amazing, and then you realise that it's really not worth your time or your energy. And if I had done this, it would have been a lovely boost to my ego, and I think that's probably would have been the main reason that I was doing it. But for my time and my energy, it would have been horrible, and the regret would have come in very, very quickly. So I'm so relieved that I was able to say no, that I was able to recognise this before I committed. I think we need to look at anything that we say yes to through that lens. Your time, your energy is so precious, and often the money follows that. So if you're chasing money, it's almost as if you're burning out. You're just on a route to burnout. Whereas if you focus on your time and your energy as much as the money, if not just more, the money actually follows that. That certainly seems to be what I'm finding over the last year and what I'm going to be leaning into this year. So that story, I think, is a brilliant example of how if you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And if you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. And sometimes a good no is far more valuable than a yes. So if you're planning on looking at your business and trying to plan how you will grow it over the next year, first of all, I would think about where you're spending most of your time and ask yourself if it's working for you. And for the things that are working and that you want to lean into, how can you do them so that they increase your time and your energy? I'm going to waffle a little bit here, bear with me. I always think of water drops trickling down a window in the rain, which I'm pretty sure it's going to rain any minute. That's by the by. Water takes the path of least resistance every time. And I feel like that's what we've got to try and do with our whatevers. If YouTube, when I'm doing YouTube, I need to try and streamline the process so that it's as much like a water trickling down a window and taking the path of least resistance as possible. And often you don't have to do the big, huge things. Often it's the smaller tweaks that make the biggest difference. And it does seem a little bit counterintuitive to focus on your time and energy, and it also sounds a little bit woo, let's be brutally honest. But from my experience at least, when I have done that, even when it feels a little bit uncomfortable, the money follows. Some of the smaller tweaks that I've made with my energy at the forefront of the decision-making process last year have been the biggest changes with regard to my income. My plan for this year is definitely to try and streamline, be like water, and just make every decision that I make with my time and energy at the forefront, because I trust now that the money will follow. So there you go. I'm sorry that there is no podcat in this episode, but given that Luna, my cat, stole the show last week, I think podcat is definitely staying and might even feature on some merch coming forward. Don't forget to let me know what you think about that. All right. This was an extremely waffly video. I'm very foggy-headed. Nothing to do with overindulgence either. I'm just very, very tired. Did I mention I was tired? I'm tired. So with that, I'm going to go and get myself a refill, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.